Good morning, everybody. This is the first episode of what I'm going to call my Mouthy Motivational Monday. As you can tell, it isn't starting in January, it's starting on December 31st. That is due to the fact that the first Monday in January isn't until January 7th. I wanted to go into the new year with a strong video, so I figured the timing would be better to do it on the last day of 2018. This particular quote that we're going to focus on is something I find very close to me and very prevalent in our community here on YouTube and in life in general. Um, I don't know how many people, when it comes to viewers on YouTube, remember Christopher Reeve. He was a very famous actor in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. He was most known for playing Superman in the 80s and 90s in movies. That I always say that my first exposure to the geek world and the comic book world was when I saw X-Men. If I really had to be truthful about it, it was probably when I saw Christopher Reeve in the Superman movies that he did. Um, I don't necessarily know, maybe because of the age that I was, I don't necessarily know if um, I considered those comic book movies. Of course, they were based on the comic book character, but I think I appreciated them more because of his acting rather than um, the fact that they were portraying a comic book character. He has always been somebody that I've admired in any of the movies I've seen. Anybody who is my age or older probably remembers in 1995 when he was participating in an equestrian event and fell off his horse and became paralyzed. He ended up being paralyzed by from the neck down, and I believe that because of that event, he ended up becoming even more of a superhero because of the activism that he took part in. He was very much involved in pushing for the use of stem cell research, not just for himself, but for people who had spinal cord injuries like he had sustained. I don't know for myself if stem cells would be something that they could use because mine isn't a spinal cord injury. It is what they call a birth defect. So I don't know, but I know that he became more than a superhero when he became an activist. And he just will always withstand the test of time with me, and I'm sure many others. The quote that he has that I'm going to use today is, "You should take responsibility for the way you present yourself, but you should never be hung up on your looks, whether you are ugly or handsome, because that's not an achievement." And I think that is extremely relevant in the times that we're facing today. I think because of social media, we are so hell-bent on ways that we look. I mean, even back when it was only tabloid magazines that were just a thing. I do think it's been supercharged since social media, but I feel like we are still too focused on superficial, outwardly things than we are with what's on the inside. When you say, or when you think about presenting yourself, it's not just in how you look. Because if you think about somebody like Albert Einstein, to pass him on the street, you would probably think that he was a crazy homeless man because of his hair. And he always had his hair, up crazy. I believe that, yeah, he actually did that before Don King. For the people that don't know who Don King is, he was a famous boxing promoter, very closely related or connected to Mike Tyson back in the 80s and 90s. But anyway, when you think of how you present yourself, you need to think about your character, and how you carry yourself and how you interact with others. That is how you present yourself. Your physical appearance, while it is important, it's not a key factor, or should not be a key factor, because people should not focus on what they see. They should focus more on what they hear and the actions that they see you take. So for me, that quote is just especially strong, because there have been many times where people have passed judgment on me based on my appearance, whether it be my appearance or the appearance of me being in the chair. But I think that we need to, look past that and start to focus on each other in the sense of what we have to offer in intelligence and intellect, and the value that we can add to our own lives and each other's lives. I think that we will end up being a stronger community, and we'll be stronger individuals that way. I definitely want to know your take on this quote. My editing skills are still very minimal, so instead of putting the quote in the video, I'll leave it in the description below. And in the comments, I want to know what you take away from this quote, and if it relates to you specifically, or how you can relate it to you specifically. I'm genuinely curious to really start a conversation going forward this year, and becoming closer with so many more people, and kind of reestablishing connections that have been lost. So I hope everybody has a great New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and I really hope that you have a more positive outlook going into 2019, and that you actually are energized for things that are going to make you happy and fulfill you. I will see everybody soon, and I love y'all. Bye.